O'Reilly. You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You ever get that feeling the walls closing in, the concrete jungle suffocating you? You crave some wide open spaces, the chance to connect with nature, maybe in a spot all your own. Well, head over to land.com. They've got ranches, forests, mountains, streams, you name it. Search by acreage. You can search by location. You can search by the kind of hunting and fishing you're dreaming of. Land.com. It is where the adventure begins. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode number 39 of the Hunting Collective. I'm Ben O'Brien, and today I am joined by the one and only Dusan Smetana. He was born in Czechoslovakia, but he lives in Montana. He's a renowned outdoor photographer, hunting photographer, and just an all-around wonderful human being. He's got insight on where he grew up, how he came up, and escaping communist Czechoslovakia in the late 80s to come to America and live out his dream. And he certainly is living that with his wife Lorca and their kids in Bozeman. He's traveled the world to work for companies like Cabela, and he has a lot to tell us about that. He's an interesting man with interesting insights. So please enjoy Dusan Smetana. Dusan, how are you, sir?
I am well.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm very well. I'm drinking a little bit of mint tea with a spike of plum brandy on a... It's not actually it's not that chilly of a Montana day, is it?
No, it's beautiful. Blue sky, sunshine, Slivovitz time.
It's beautiful. And for folks that, like, I always try to start these podcasts, obviously people can't see where we are. Can you give your best description of where we're sitting right now and really just, I guess, your homestead here in Bozeman?
Well, we are in Bozeman. In my house, I have a small farm by Gallatin River, where we raise different kind of animals for us. We have sheep and pigs and chickens and ducks and turkeys and homing pigeons.
Homing pigeons, yeah, we're going to talk about that a lot.
And just the heaven. You know, I love Montana. I love the name. I love everything about it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you get to move here. You're going to experience that.
Yeah, I'll be right not too far. Like I said, it's like a 2-minute commute up the road and around the corner, and
5 minutes across the river.
5 minutes across the river, and we're sipping tea and brandy by the fire at your place. Hey, your wife, Lorca, and yourself, did you guys put a lot of this house together?
We did. We tried to research. When you travel, you see different things around the world, and you see how people build differently, how they design different homes or structures to live. And once I came and sit down with the architect, we kind of told him what we want. We really like to read in heat and a concrete floor. We like insulated house, so you don't waste your energy heating it.
That's right.
And we like the simplicity, modern. You know, the concrete floor are awesome for cleaning, and we knew we were going to have a kid, so somehow, figure out how not to let them just destroy the house.
Yes.
So you have that kind in mind. If I would knew that, I would definitely not put any kitchen cabinets. I just put a bunch of hay bales and drain in the middle, and I think that will do.
That would be fine, yes.
You just got new house and kids, so you'll see how much damage he'll do.
That's right. And my wife and I discussed that. She's like, well, we could get the nice carpet. I said, we could get the nice carpet. But every nice thing we get has the ability to be made less so by our little dude. Although he's pretty low maintenance.
Yeah.
But still.
But it's nice to have a house, nice to own some land. And another thing or concept of our house was to make, not too big, our house is 1,900 square feet. Perfect for 2 kids and couple, and no maintenance. So if you put metal roof, and if you put stucco and plaster inside, there's not much maintenance. So you don't want to. And if you choose good windows, so you don't have to repaint them, then you just house is never done, but you try to minimize all the extra expenses down the road.
Yeah, and you have quite the homestead here. I mean, it feels like, I don't know how most would describe it, but it's like a farmette where you have, you're right here on the Gallatin River. It's freaking beautiful, and farm animals around, and you guys are square with plum brandy and a nice fire here, and it's a beautiful view.
Yeah, life is good on the farm. I would love to get even more land, but there is not much here available. But I think to have a little farm, it's a security for me. I grew up in a farm, and I grew up in a small village where the animals kind of take care of you. So, and you can get the wood. So you kind of eliminate the thinking that food comes from grocery store and the heat comes from furnace.
Yeah, you have to chop the heat.
Yeah,
chop the heat up
and chop the heat, and you raise your animals, and you butcher them, and you eat them, and that's more security to me than have several $1,000s in the bank. If my house is surrounded with firewood and freezers are full of meat, bring it.
Yes, bring it. Yeah, you have chickens and goats here. What else?
We have sheep.
We have
Icelandic sheep.
Yeah.
And I got that idea from traveling to Argentina in the last 20 years or so, and I love how they cook that, what they call asado, lamb asado over the fire.
Yes.
And after, I think, couple of dinners in U.S., I noticed that the lamb was the most expensive meat.
Yes.
And then suddenly, just clicked 6 years ago, I was like, well, why can't I have my own lamb, sheep, and raise? And
here you are.
And I talked to my wife, who did the research, and we find the Icelandic sheep, and they're low on maintenance, they're very hardy, they don't need any structures, and they're very yummy. So it's a nice combination with the hunting, when you get the elk, antelope, or deer, there's not much grease there, but with the antelope, with the lamb, you just have extra fat.
It's a grease and fat there.
So
we came over here a month or so, maybe even longer ago, and you did the asada for us over the fire, and it was unbelievable.
Oh,
so
good.
Tell folks, and you gave me a lot of brandy then too, so that could have helped out. I don't know.
More you drink, better we
sound. The more
you
drink, the better we sound. The better the lamb tastes. Tell people about your strategy for making this out, and where you learned it, and your influences from Argentina, and I know that
as you get older, you try to. I think you get more into what I call homey. You just get into cooking. You get into gardening.
Yeah.
You get into little skills and hobbies that you always want to do but never had time. Those also could be challenges. You get into raising sheep and you try to figure out how to hay. So then you get in a tractor and you try to cut and bale. So it's I still very entertained, with all these activities, and I love it because it completely distracts me from the photography. I don't have to think of framings and all the other thoughts you have when you're taking photos. I completely forget about them. I always say I'm a full-time farmer and part-time photographer.
You've crafted quite the job title. Living here, you're not. Listen, a lot of people glorify living off the land, or just a lifestyle of living off what's around you, and you have that here, and specifically around the sheep. How do you treat them? I mean, you raise them. When do you harvest one? Like, how do you treat that with your family?
So the lambs are usually born middle of May, beginning of May, and we have 20, 30 lambs running around, and it's kind of cute to see kids going in there and lifting those animals and looking at them and put them back and try to catch them again. And we graze them in our land and our neighbor's land. We make small paddocks of 2-3 acres. And once a week, we'll move them. So we rotate it. And nice thing being in the river bottom, you have so much submoisture that the grass grow nicely.
Easy.
And by the time you finish one end, you can start another one. Now, when it comes September and October, these sheep, they are wild. They're from Iceland, and they haven't been improved by British scientists to gain weight and lose some other traits. So they eat bark. They eat leaves. So we don't have to deworm them since we have just 20, 30 of them.
Yeah.
And when October comes, end of October, then we slaughter the lambs. We keep the replacement sheep. Then we slaughter maybe some old sheep that we don't. They're getting old. And, we use some of that meat, and I would use lots of other parts of those animals for my hunting dogs.
Yeah.
For the bird dogs. I feed them the lungs, liver, heart, even stomach, the tripe. I open the stomach and empty the green and cut it up, and that's 2-3 meals each stomach for the dogs with all the enzymes and minerals and nutritions.
Yeah. Now your kids you have 2 children. Do they take part in the entire process with you?
They help. They watch. They help eat. They still don't know that they're eating liver. They like liver with onions. That's actually traditional or big tradition in Europe, where as soon as you harvest any animal and you have access to fire, you chop onions and you eat the
liver.
The red deer liver or roe deer liver. Yeah. So it's, they help and they see that. Now, I don't know if they're going to pursue that kind of lifestyle we have here, but options are there for them. Hopefully they'll remember. But I am going exactly back as I grow up. I mean, I see that I want to take care of myself. I want to take care of the firewood. I want to grow our own potatoes and carrots. I want to have my own honey. It's, up to 30 years ago, I would not think that I would have that because it was so distant, but.
Yeah. Well, it seems to calm you a bit, those things.
Yeah, I think the influence in your childhood, how you grow up and where you grow up, it just influences you. And then later on, you seek that.
Yeah.
And it's up to you how deep you're going to go with that.
Yeah. I mean, you're, in your professional life, you're a photographer for many brands. Of course, Cabela's being a big one. How do you balance those two things? I mean, you're traveling. We were just talking before we hit record about your traveling and not being around Montana as much as you'd like to be, but getting to travel the world and knowing a lot of places and allowing that to inform how you live here in Montana.
Yeah, so I've been fortunate in the last 25 years. I did get to travel quite a bit around the world, but it's always nice to come home.
Yeah.
You got to do something for a living. So I don't think I have a bad gig. I mean, I think it's wonderful to just take photos and meet new people and interact, learn about different languages, cultures, meet people who are in all kind of professions and hear their stories. Talk to hunting guides in South Africa or Australia or Germany and just see what's their lives about. How their backgrounds look like. How do they shelter their animals? What kind of fire, what kind of wood they use.
Yeah.
All those things are so interesting for me. And so the traveling is great, but one bad thing that I said, or not bad, but it's just weird that I don't know very much about Montana. I get these requests from local magazines, and I never been to those places. Montana is so big.
Yes.
So I would like to change it a little bit and explore more of Montana.
Yeah.
And kind of balance with the traveling. I mean, traveling is about 4 months a year, but the rest of the time I'm here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, this is, as I said, moving here for me. I mean, I feel like the immense opportunity to explore the West could take me 30 years, and I still wouldn't have much knowledge of what I'd want to go explore. But that's a fun idea to have. I mean, I don't know. I think what informs a lot of your life is how you grew up. I mean, that's, and where you grew up.
Yeah, this is a big playground.
Yes.
I mean, if you're a hunter and fisherman and skier and river guide or kayaker or mountain climber, ice climber, I mean, we have it.
Yes.
I mean, it's just amazing the variety of the outdoor sports we have here.
And the people here. Last time we came here for the asada, I was struck that in your house was like this wonderful bunch of wonderful people, and they were from all over this country and this world that had collected here around your place and around this river and this state. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
I mean, people in Bozeman are really nice. I mean, people in Montana in general are nice, and they're inquisitive. You meet these locals, they're asking you questions.
Yeah.
They're these ranchers, they see where you come from. What are you doing here? Why do you want to hunt in this place? Or, and you get to meet, and then they go, oh, we remember that. Our grandfather was from Czechoslovakia, or he was from Germany, or I never felt once living in the U.S. that somebody would be prejudiced because I come from a different country.
Yeah.
I think it works to our advantages.
Yes.
I always say, and there's so much public land to hunt. And on top of it, there's so much private land that you could hunt. You just have to go and knock on the door, not 1 month before the season open or the opening day, but go there in May and June and
put a little work in. Maybe.
Put a little work, yeah. Help them with the cattle, help them with the fence, and not too many doors will be closed.
That's right. Yeah, I found it. I found a lot of places in the country, but especially here. I mean, Texas has its own way of treating people and its own culture, and there's some bravado and brashness there. But here in Montana, it's welcoming. I mean, I don't speak like they speak here, nor do you.
You bet.
But that I mean, you've got quite a community along this river of people that are your neighbors and your community.
Yeah, and my wife is involved. She loves the local community. She's part of this group of women of the dirt. There's a group of 80 or 90 ladies.
Whoa!
I call them dirty women.
Dirty.
And they surround themselves with these old experienced people who've been gardening for 60, 70 years, who've been dealing with animals and issue in Montana for many years, and just share the informations. They exchange eggs for breeding stocks or, I don't know, different type of chickens and what tools to use, how to check the soil for pH and a million other things.
Yeah, don't listen, everybody out there. Listen, don't Google "dirty women Montana." You're not going to get that club.
Woman of the Dirt. That's
Woman
the
of
proper
the Dirt.
name.
Woman of the Dirt Club. Now, your wife is a very impressive person as well, and you guys have the life you have carved out here is amazing, and your kids are amazing. I mean, they look you in the eye, they shake your hand. I mean, they're wonderful people in their own right. I mean, and what are your philosophies on raising children and I mean, you brought them here to Montana for a reason, I'm sure.
Yeah, I love kids. I love being with them.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the greatest example when I was a kid. My parents were divorced when I was a year old, and my father was drinking a lot. So there was lots of struggles there. There were lots of abuses. But I always say that both of the parents showed me a beautiful example how now to do things. So I always think about it and just try to do different. Now I've seen some people in my village where they were interacting with the kids, where they were loving them, they were putting hands on them, they were kissing them, they were just, and I always just envy that, and that's what I want to have. So when somebody asks me, when are you going to have kids? I was like, what do you mean when? I mean, I will have kids as soon as I can. That's part of the life that I want to live. It's nice to raise another set of kids that will appreciate this world and maybe contribute with something and just keep going.
Yeah, your kids are great examples of
thank you.
Well-adjusted human beings. So I think people could learn a lot from the way you guys treat that with their lives and living where they live.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they are good kids, and I read somewhere that they are my kids, but they are not mine. They're the kids of the world.
Yeah.
You basically cannot. You can show them, you can take them to places, but you really cannot make them to do. They're gonna do their own thing. So it will be. I'm very excited to see what would become of them. How they're gonna deal with their life. What kind of jobs they'll have. Maybe those jobs are not created yet for them. Everything goes so fast nowadays, and see how they're gonna balance it. Now, I think I had the advantage to grow up in a, what would you say, a poor community, but wealthy on relations between people. And moving to U.S. and living here, I have everything that I can possibly ask for.
Yeah.
We are well paid here. We have the opportunity to do whatever we want. The things are relatively inexpensive. You can save lots of money. And we'll see what happened to them. See how they're going to see, if they're going to see the opportunity or not.
Well, it's such a perspective that you have on that, right? Because how you grew up is so different how they're growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and you can tell them, listen, you are lucky.
Yeah, you can tell them, but you can overboil that pot, because they were tired of it. So
yeah,
I will. I took my son already to Europe a couple of years ago, and he get to see where I grew up, where I live. You get to see the soccer field that I play soccer, and then he did play. He went to the mountains where we hunt. He saw the cemetery and the church, and just the exposing to those things, I think they should on their own somehow realize when they get back to U.S. that what they have.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that would work. But they need more visits. So we are doing another visit next year to Spain, and I think that is kind of important for kids to see the world so they can put things in perspective.
Yeah, provide perspective and let it go from there.
And we know that too. I mean, you travel, I travel, and you go, like you said, you go to Nepal and you see somebody is holding basket with apples, but has bigger smile than somebody who has a brand new Cadillac.
Yeah. Yeah, we could go on that subject for days. But yes, I think we talked about that last time we were here. And I roughly remember through the a stomach full of lamb and a belly full of brandy that we talked about that. But it is the perspective of the world. It can inform you for sure, but it also can drive you to be a better version of yourself. It certainly has for me, and it's one of those things where I'm always stopping to adjust. If I'm frustrated from traffic or if I'm frustrated from something at work, and I stop and adjust, I'm like, well, how is this bringing me happiness, and why am I not allowing it to? If someone with nothing in Nepal or wherever you find that person can smile and play a song in abject poverty, why can't I find that same smile when I'm sitting on a heated seat driving to work?
Well, it's a community and it's a people. The realtors have the famous saying, location, location, locations. Well, I think the people. It's kind of more important to me. I mean, it's your personality, it's your uniqueness that you get to use in work or with your friends, and that kind of influence and craft your journey through this world. So if you surround yourself with the right people that help you, they don't drain you.
Yeah.
And outdoors has the tendency to make better people.
Yeah.
I haven't seen on these trips, gosh, I've been, how many? Well, let's say over 100 trips around the world. And you have all these people, you get 10 guests, they go with me or more. Seldom you find someone who is not happy holding fishing rod or gun in their hands. So it's just like, well, what happened to all these nasty people that you read about? All this. Yeah. It's just the outdoors have tendency to just make you better, to relax you. And I don't know if that's the exercise that you get with that hunting, or it's just being out there, or fresh air.
I'm sure it's a complex tale of what it actually gives you,
but it works. It's
a
medicine.
It gives you something. Yes, it is a medicine, and part of my struggle, I'm sure you have it too, is that when you get that medicine and you go a while without it, you suffer a bit.
Yeah,
yourself suffers. You think, well, man, I could use a day just.
So the Bozeman is a perfect example when you have the wilderness experience and the beauty of outdoors, yet you have all the amenity of modern life. I mean, we have electricities, we have propanes, we have roads. It's not too far to town.
A kombucha bar downtown. I mean, I think that's my wife said that. I mean, she's not an outdoorsy type of person. really at all, but she just said seeing the mountains provides some comfort that I can't explain. It's like just looking out there and seeing that provides something that I can't. There's something I can't articulate. Like I can articulate because I've been on those mountains. It's that medicine that I can see it every morning. I wake up and be like, if life's getting me down, if I'm spun up in a way that I can't overcome, I'll just go over there and I'll climb that mountain and look around.
Just keep going. And there are millions of acres around here. And one of my favorite things earlier was to go chase elk with a bow.
Yeah.
And by myself
Yes.
for 8 to 10 days. Just fill up the backpack with Spam and sardines and bread and bagels and garlic and onions and just go at it. Pretend I was the Indian and just try to mess up with the elk and slip under the open skies. I love that.
Yeah. The access to that. Yeah. I mean, it settles you somehow. Even just knowing it's there, even if you're too busy to get to it all the time. Like, hey, I can see it. At least I know if dire straits are here, I can retreat, get back to that mountain. But you grew up in Czechoslovakia. I mean, I'd love to hear the whole story, really. I mean, tell me about, the place, the people, your parents, your upbringing.
So it's a small village in the Carpathian Mountains named Krivani. About 500-600 people live there. But each house have 3 generations, living together. And I think that was kind of unique because you really were better prepared for the world.
Yeah.
Because you have the comfort of your parents and also the wisdom of your grandparents. And you can reach into that well and just drink it when you need it.
Yeah, you do.
So everybody had their animals. Everybody had the garden. They have communal way of taking turns in grazing the animals. Every morning they would open the gate and all the cows with bells would come out and one guy would take them in the mountains, graze them, bring them back. It was somebody else's turn next day. With sheep, they've done the same thing. It was a small community where hunting was respected. In Czech Republic, the name for hunter is myslivec, which means double meaning. Could be hunter or the one who think.
Yeah.
Because the hunter actually have to make the decision to see which animal to eliminate from the pool. He looked at the stag and said, the stag is too old, he needs to get out. He was danger goring other stags, or he was no good. Or there were younger animals where they didn't grow well, so they need to be eliminated from the pool.
Yeah, and we talked about Meklevik earlier, and it just, it reminded me of the responsibility of a hunter.
Of the hunter, yeah. And you got to go to school. I think we went for a couple of years or 1 year to school, and you have to learn the fauna and flora, which was kind of fun. Few Latin names. You had to learn how many eggs pheasant lays, what's the incubations. And you learn about stream, about fish, about trees, different kind of tree, hardwood, softwood. And then it was kind of interesting. Then you had to put as many hours you put on working around forest. For example, you were building tree stands, you were picking trash, you were building bridges over the streams. How many hours you put, that counts towards better selections of the game you could hunt. For example, if you put 10 hours, you only get to hunt rabbits. But if you put 100 hours, you get to hunt red stag.
Wow.
It was something more than just go buy a license and go hunting.
Yeah.
Which, it's just a different system. But people were more connected to it. But so as a kids, we loved to hang with hunters. I mean, those whiskery, gray faces, they were, drinking plum brandy. They have a little flask, and they were sitting by the fire and telling stories about how they outfox fox. Sitting in the haystacks and just waiting for them to come, or wolf stories. And of course, every kid wanted to be cowboy and Indian. We had these books from Germany by writers named Karl May. Then we have some books, Fenimore Cooper, The Last of the Mohicans.
Yes.
And I love reading it. I mean, I was a book rat. I was reading in a school, in a church, in a train, under blankets, just reading. And I was fascinated by the Wild West, how people can ride horses and sleep in a teepees and shoot their bows and throw spears and live.
Yeah.
O'Reilly Auto Parts are in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offer friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. If you're confused about what part you need, like what wipers are going to be the best, what replacement headlights are going to be the best, go into O'Reilly and talk to the people that work there because they're great and they're super friendly and they'll get you squared away where you walk out knowing you got the right thing. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in-store or online, so you never have to worry if you're in a jam. Do you need your windshield wipers replaced? You need a brake light fixed? You need some quick service? They'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in-store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. You ever get that feeling you're stuck inside staring at screens and a primal urge kicks in? You crave wide open spaces, fresh air, the chance to connect with the land. Well, maybe it's time to find your own piece of the wild, but searching for property can be a maze. That's where Land.com comes in. They got millions of listings across the country, from mountain ranches to hidden fishing holes. Their search tools are like a seasoned guide helping you narrow down what you want. Land.com isn't just about buying and selling. It's about finding a place to hunt, fish, explore, or simply sit by a campfire and listen to the crickets. So head over to Land.com today to turn one day into today, because trust me, there's nothing quite like the feeling of standing on your own piece of earth. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today.
So I was always dreaming, I said, man, I would like to do that. And I was 8, 10, 12. And one of those books one year, there was a name, Montana. And I just really loved that name, Montana. It's like, well, I'm going to go there. Okay. Well, you 11, 12, you just really, you cannot predict your future. But, the communists, of course, would not let you leave because everybody would leave and there would be nobody to work for them.
Yeah.
But as things start changing in 1989, the Soviets were losing reins and losing the Cold War. I keep applying for 6 years to get out. I said, I'm going to go to Montana, and I want to see my mother. My mother at that time was living in West Germany.
Okay.
That I did not know very much about her, but I use her as an example that I want to see her as a human rights. I started writing letter to United Nations and everywhere. Wow. And, they said, well, if you put 1 more year to work, I said, okay. And, if you go to military for 2 years, I said, okay. Well, I got back from military after a couple of years, and they said, oh, no, we were joking. You're not going anywhere.
Now you're in the military.
Well, now I'm 20, 21. I'm exploding. I'm just troublemaker. I was like, I want to get out. That's what the communism finally grabbed hold of me. Because when you're a kid, you really don't.
Yeah, you don't understand it.
You don't understand what's going on, why all these people are so depressed, why all the people drink, why all the people have no freedom. They cannot own guns. They cannot voice. They cannot do very much. They can just celebrate their march for the communists. They finally grabbed me. That's like, well, this is a strange place. I feel like a sheep in a shelter where I'm just surrounded and told what to do all the time. So more letters, more annoyances for them and me. Until one day I just got this letter that, you can go to U.S., permission granted. I was like, what the heck happened? So there was a chain of command where I have to apply. You have to apply to my direct boss and boss's boss and boss's boss, and 20 other people past that have to approve before you can get to the main guy at the end who was living in Prague.
Yep.
But all of a sudden, I just skip all these guys, and I wrote him direct letter. That's my human rights to visit my mother, and I want to go. And he just replaced it. Well, go, son. So I got the permission. I get to U.S. Embassy in Prague, and I see all these German jumping fences. German from East Germany were kind of jumping fences to West German Embassy. Yeah. And things were changing slowly in the big cities. But we didn't know that. We were in the mountains. We didn't have any local news or anything other than, what my grandfather was listening to BBC or Voice of America.
Well, it seems like there was a stark change. Like as a child, there was some romance in where you were. And then as you grew up, you started to realize,
there's a bigger world.
There's a bigger world in this and I'm in a communist cage here that I'd like to.
Yeah, and we didn't know anything. The communists would tell us, if you keep working hard, you're going to have really good lifestyle, just like the Russians have. Well, the Russians had worse lifestyle than we did.
Yes.
And also we didn't know anything about the U.S. other than, during the Depression, many Czechs and Slovaks left for America. So we would have every third, fourth house would have a family member that immigrated to U.S. So we really like America.
Did you get a lot of stories back from the U.S.?
We did, but it was all deceiving because my grandfather always said Americans always wear white clothes all day long.
Oh.
Well, maybe butcher or somebody, but we don't know. They wear white ties and white clothes.
Yeah, not after Labor Day.
My friends thought that Americans are sitting in the ditches because that's what we were doing as a kids, running in the mountains, sitting in the ditches, put your feet up, stick in one hand and was just beating bushes. And said, all they do is just sit in those ditches and fried chicken come by, they just grab it and eat it.
Sounds pretty good.
Total, science, what do you call it? Sci-fi.
Yeah, sci-fi.
We had no idea how people live in U.S. Absolutely zero. Yeah. So when I come to the U.S. finally, when I get the permissions and I can go, my mother took me to Walmart or Kmart, and I couldn't believe it. From this little store when they were selling beer, butter, wine, and bread, there were
everything.
40 different breads.
Yeah.
20 different butters. Hundreds of different wines and shoes and clothes and tools. I knew pitchfork and shovel and maybe rake. Well, there were tools they had no idea what do you do with. So I spent all day in that store. And next day they asked me where you want to go. Well, back to Walmart. I still have some things to see there. So we were living completely in the darkness.
Yeah.
And, that was 30 years ago, not that far.
No.
And what a different world.
In the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think... And your mother came with you?
My mom took a vacation from West Germany. That's where she lived. And she went to Florida. And she decided to stay there for a while. But it wasn't for her. She had a hard time to learn language. And she was kind of disappointed why so many people are so poor with all the possibilities they have. She couldn't understand why everybody were living paycheck to paycheck. So I don't think it was for her. So she left, went back to Germany. And I stayed in Florida for a year, and I couldn't speak any English. It was just shaking hands and moving eyes and smile, which it's just kind of interesting feeling. To this day, I still like not to understand. It really...
You enjoyed it.
Yeah, it really just brings something out of you that you really try to get across.
Yeah.
But not orally, but it's
using
moving hands and smile.
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun. So I stayed and went to school after work. I was working in the boatyard, scraping barnacles and painting boats, and working the body shops, grinding cars and taping windows. Because those jobs, you really don't have to speak English.
That's right. Do you remember the first folks that you would say took you in and
Yeah, so there was people at the Ringling Brothers Circus, and lots of those circus people were from all over the Europe.
Yeah.
They immigrated or they got kind of sponsorship or something. And my mother told me about the lady who is from Czech Republic, and she was good on trampoline and trapeze and ropes. Her name was Maria. She was a wonderful lady, and so I just went to her and didn't want to knock on the door because I show up at midnight. So I just spent my first night under the palm tree. And I was so thirsty and so hungry, and I saw these beautiful oranges hanging. So I grabbed one and I bite it, and it was just not ready. But it was this feeling that what the heck am I doing here? In the morning, I start hearing some dishes and noises. So I knock on the door and it says, "Hi, my name is Dusan, and my mom said that she knows friend of your friend, and I was just wondering if you can help me." Lady's looking at me. I was like, "Oh yeah, come on in. Let's have a coffee." So we start talking, and then She asked me, what am I going to do? You know, she was living at that time with her grandson, who was 8 years old, and I kind of played with the kid a little bit. And after I stayed there a couple of days, she said, I stay another week. So I helped her with the house. I was raking lawn, cutting grass, cleaning different things. She said, I'll stay another month. I said, you know what, you can just stay as long as you want. So she really helps me, you know, to just understand that I need help, and I was able to find a job and take care of myself. But the Florida wasn't for me. You know, I grew up in the mountains. I like to hike. I like to.
Were you always? I know you said Montana was interesting to you from the beginning, but I mean, getting out of communist Czech Republic and getting over here, was it always Montana for you, or did you just lose it and find it again when you got to the States?
No, I always started with Montana. And when teacher, you know, school at the, they call SL classes, English is a second language, they always ask you, what would you want to do? Where'd you want to go? So when I could say Montana, I said, well, I want to go to Montana. I said, well, what are you going to do there? It's like, well, I was in the forestry, so I can be lumberjack, logger. I mean, Montana must have lots of trees. And my teacher, you know, she was very cool. She actually was teaching English on a Garth Brooks tape. You know, so the old tapes, when you put in a recorder, come with a little paper folder. Yeah. And when the singer was singing, you could follow with the words. Agreed. The problem was there was lots of slang, you know, so we just... I mean,
do you remember any Garth Brooks songs?
Oh, yeah. Gosh, I remember all of them from that song. You know,
I'm going to come over.
I got friends in the low places.
Yeah, that's what you were learning English?
I know, that was awesome. So that was upgrading, because before that, teacher just came to the board and draw pictures of cat and go, meow, 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 cat. Woof, 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 dog. So that's how we have to start. You know, you have this 20-some-year adults, and we are learning language.
I'm coming over. We're going to come over and bring Garth Brooks. Drink brandy and sit by the fire and listen to Garth Brooks.
No, those were the good days. And then the school teacher introduced me to another wonderful lady. Her name is Sissy. And she was moving back to Bozeman. So I said, well, may I come with you? And he goes, oh, I would love to take you. She was just very nice. You know, my dear friend now. She was driving a long U-Haul truck with trailer, and she did have no experience. I saw her cutting corners. And I was in military. When I was in military, I was driving semis. So I said, I can help with the driving. So I drove her to Montana, and we got here, I think, in 1991, I want to say, or 92, in March. And I parked this U-Haul truck in a Bozeman. It was full of snow. And there was this little girl, barefooted, standing in the snow, looking at me with her arms up, and goes, let me get this straight. Are you moving in or are you moving out? So I thought, well, this is going to be a good place.
Yeah.
And, you know, with all this opportunity that I have to live anywhere else, this was gold mine.
Gold mine. Well, in 1991, how many people lived in Bozeman?
I guess there were not too many. Yeah. And we didn't have all the amenities. You know, we had the old kerosene burners in the bar where every 10 minutes they go, everybody move out. And big jet of heat come in, turn it off, and
come back.
Yeah, drinking again. So it's a different town than nowadays, but, you know, changes. There is nothing you can do.
That's right.
It's a progression. But it's still good. I mean, despite you see more traffic and more people. Yeah. I mean, it's still a wonderful place to live.
Oh, yeah. It strikes me that I certainly did not grow up in, you know, the same environment you did, but I had a similar, you know, Montana was always this place that I used to watch. A Lonesome Dove. You ever saw that show?
Okay, yeah, with Michael London, was it?
It was written by James McMurtry.
Oh, okay. So that was a Little House in the Prairie that I'm thinking of.
No, and this was it was in the it came out I say the 80s or early 90s. Robert Duvall and Tommy Lee Jones played two cowboys that were the first to drive cattle from Texas to Montana, two Texas Rangers, and you know, I lived on the East Coast. We didn't have buffalo, we didn't have elk, we had deer and turkeys and geese, and I lived in the suburbs, but I remember watching that. We watched that every Christmas, and I'd watch that, and I'd think, Montana, huh?
Yeah, Montana has the romantic name.
Yes.
It's, you can go anywhere in the world, you mention Montana, I think people visualize this cowboys and cowboy hats and horses and Indians and the mountains.
Yeah, the mountains.
And we got that. You know, we have the community of of people. The one thing we don't have here are factories and jobs. So I don't get it how everybody can, move here and
There's
just buy a big house and buy new cars and buy properties and just keep living here.
The dream you had and kind of is the similar dream that I had can't be unique to us. I mean, I think people, when they have wealth and a little bit of means and can choose where they might want to go, a lot of people choose here, I think, for a good reason.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how much longer we can sustain this growth.
Yeah.
Maybe we get a couple bad winters and everybody going to southern
out.
Colorado.
See, I'm out. I'm out.
It is. The winters are long, so you do have to stay entertained.
Yeah, and I would say coming here, having lived some different places and lived in the Midwest, that the cold here is, it's a refreshing cold. It's
10 degrees right now, blue sky, but it's sunny.
Yeah,
so the sun just makes you happy.
Yeah, and the cold
is dry cold, so it's not humidity there.
It's not a thick cold.
Yeah, so you put jackets on and
you're fine.
Keep on going. Plus, you have to do some kind of outdoor activity. So when the dark comes at 4 o'clock, very early, you are tired.
Yes,
you went skiing or you were hunting or something. So
you
can build a fire, grab a book.
Yeah.
And relax. I mean, I love December, January, February. Those are the months where I take time off.
You sit here and you drink your tea and your brandy
and cook. Cook all the things in a pit or in a kamados or in a wood stoves or poikis or whatever heck.
It's fantastic.
I come with.
When you think about the way a hunter is treated in your culture and the Czechoslovakian culture and how you grew up, how would you compare that to how a hunter is treated in our modern states?
Oh, one thing I would say right away would be use more meat.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't just go for the backstraps and tenderloins. It's not the meat that has the minerals and nutritions. It's the liver. It's the lungs. It's the heart.
Yes.
It's the tripe if you can handle it. If you look at the predator when he kills animals, he doesn't go for the steaks. No. He works his way into the liver, into the heart. So maybe be more resourceful and learn. And Steve might be a good example how I keep hearing. I don't have a TV, so I haven't seen any of his show. But I keep hearing good things how he educating hunters.
Come to my house, bring the brandy, and we'll get it done. It's easy.
So the meat would be one thing. The second would be take advantage of those tags that you get locally. For $20 or $18, you get antelope tag, elk tag, and deer. But there's your protein for the winter.
Yes.
Why should you go to store and buy something else? Other than maybe bacon. I mean, if you think you get 300 pounds of meat for $20 ticket for elk, I mean, that's totally worth it. But, I'm a meat hunter. I look at those animals and I'm looking for yearlings right away. I mean, I'm practicing that when I'm driving in a road. When I see herds of caribou while we are fishing, I'm trying to pick if I can find those yearlings. So as a meat hunter, definitely just, get more meat and eat more of that animal. Everything is there. And if you have a farm, or dogs, the raw diet for the dogs is one of the things that I find to be the best thing for the doggies.
Yeah.
I mean, what can be better than, the liver or heart or some of the meats from deer or elk? And, even the rib cage, if you don't eat the ribs and there's still meat and you don't want it, chicken loves that. They pick completely clean. Yeah, they pick the hide. If you have any meat left in the hide, I throw it to chickens. They strip it, and they need that protein too. So, I mean, we are not like a Native Americans where they, reuse everything out of the buffalo, absolutely everything. But I think we can do better jobs.
Yeah. When you think back the reverence and the respect that your community had for hunters, and even had a term to describe that respect. Like, I love when you say thinker. I think. Mm-hmm. How do you think that we've gotten to a place where we kind of had the opposite? I mean, hunters in our society aren't respected.
I was thinking about it, why we have such a bad reputation. And that was 10 or 12 years ago when I was traveling in the plane and I said, I photograph hunters. And some people get turned off of that. I said, well, why don't you photograph just landscape? I said, well, what's wrong photographing hunters or fishermen? So somebody's done a bad PR for hunters.
Yeah.
But also somebody done bad PR for the loggers. You know, that was my professions.
Yes.
You know, if somebody display clear cuts, how they were used to take advantage of clear cut instead of selective cutting, and you have two photos, one of clear cut and old growth, then you show it to anybody, well, what are they going to say?
Yeah.
You know, the old growth is much better than clear cut. So somebody have done not so good PR, but
well, they may be thinking after these California fires, they may be thinking different.
Well, that's right. I mean, if you have not Octobers, but August in ashes, every day ash, and you are breeding it, and we are not taking advantage of our natural resources. We're not thinning those forests. We're not going there to get our firewood. We just, want to protect it. Well, that's not going to be a good outcome. It's just going to burn and more burn. And
we've seen it. Yeah.
And not good. And with the hunting, I really don't know. Perhaps it's the image. As a photographer, when I photograph guy with, let's say, deer, I want to get it as tastefully as possible. Simple things, not too much blood, no tongues hanging out, not sitting on it, grabbing the horns like, it's the stereotype. That's how those people were doing it. And that might have been good 40, 50 years ago. But now we have different channels of those photos that can spread much quicker than used to. Before you had a photo in your pocket, you show it to your UPS man, to your post office man, your buddy, your waitress in the restaurant, and that was it. But now you post one ugly photo, what I call, with not tastefully done with the deer hunting, and it just takes off. Yeah. And they can use those photos against us as the
you've been in the industry for quite a while. You've seen it change. I mean, have you seen the hunting industry change over your time?
Yeah. Well, I think I get asked what's my favorite clothing or what's the favorite gear or what is. It's a pair of lungs and your health, what you got, and the muscles and desire, how many mountains you want to climb. That you cannot buy.
Yes.
So you can wear wool pants that are 30 years old. You still can get things done. So less talking, more hunting, researching on your own, be in a good shape. And now with that one I struggle. Now, do we need fully automatic or semi-auto guns for hunting? I don't. I'm fine with single shots. I'm fine with the double shots, shotguns over under. But if some people need it, that is interesting. Is if you put hunter with with several different guns that he needs for shooting, it's just a different feeling. I really don't associate with that. I really don't see how. Some guys love to shoot elk at 900 yards. Well, I'm the opposite. I want to be there in 20 yards. I want to see what happened. Was I able to? I mean, that just kind of increase your pleasure of stalking, spot and stalk. If you just way back up there and you shoot, although, to some people it's satisfying. They love doing it, but it's not my cup of tea.
Well, I think you, as you said earlier, you grew up in a place where you had to learn the flora and fauna. You had to learn how animals interacted with humans, how they interacted with the world around them, and you were immersed in that world.
Yeah.
Why would you want to remove yourself from it by using technology to make it easier? Because all the technology is stripping away the relationship that you had.
You bet. And takes away your skills that you can build.
Yes.
Or improve and get even better. So
yeah, no one's saying don't use technology, but somehow
limit yourself. And some states are better than others. Montana has, for bow hunting, you cannot use too many electronics things or eliminations. But to me, spot and stock, it's still the best type of hunting, no matter what you do. And that's been forever. And that really challenged you. Yeah. Now, if I don't get done with my bow, if I don't get to harvest elk with my bow, I will get a rifle. It's not like I'm going to be hungry. Yes. But I try to do that with the bow and then go to the rifle. So, but I still kind of walking around, and I cannot say why we have a bad PR as a hunters. I mean, that would be something.
Well, I've got a few.
Well, what are your thoughts?
I've got a few questions I like to ask myself a lot, and we were talking about this the other day, and like the point of, what I'm doing for a living, and really what you're doing for a living. But one of them is why, I think it is this way for everyone. But one of the questions is, why is killing gratifying, right? Like, why? Because regardless of why you're killing it. The killing is gratifying for you. I'm sure, as someone who hunts particularly for meat, is gratifying because you're feeding yourself and your family.
But see, I do that every week. I go kill chickens or I kill a lamb. So it's.
Yeah.
I don't think twice. You
Yes.
know, I just try to find either the weakest animal that I don't need anymore, or the one that I call yum yum. You know, the yearling ones.
Yes.
And you know, but I never.
Is there gratification in that still for you?
I am not sure. The gratifications where I get, I'm just seeing these homing pigeons flying around.
I know.
When I get to kill them.
Yeah.
I mean, I select them. I breed them to be good athletes. And if somebody don't have it, I have to call them. And I get gratifications there. And I don't know why.
Yeah.
Because my flock is shrinking and should be better because I'm selecting. I'm hoping that that's what it is. Because it's not really, I just want to kill to see blood. I mean, I really don't care about it. But I never actually even question myself, why do you like killing?
Yeah.
I mean, just kind of natural. I want to eat. I have stomach that I have to constantly.
Right. But it's like that's a deeper. So this is not a question anybody can really answer. But it's a question.
I can.
I think it's the question that the world at large would like us to be able to answer. Like why is killing gratifying? Like what is the thing? Because it is. Some people say, well, it's gratifying because it is the end of an experience. That it's a challenge. I have to acquire these skills.
Yeah, but there's still lots of work after that.
Yeah,
actually, most of that work. I mean, once you harvest your animal,
take care of the meat and get
that's all the work
back,
starts.
Yeah, safely back to your dinner plate.
Yeah.
So, but I think for every hunter, that's beautiful that these homing pigeons just fly like that.
Yeah, they're exercising.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to talk about that. We're going to talk about that in depth, man. It's so cool what you do. But I think that's one question that all of us could grapple with. You know?
Yeah. I could see if somebody would ask me, okay, why do you like to hunt elk?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you have 5 days and you want to come with me, you have to get it on your own. I am not talented to express myself why I'm doing it. Come with me and you'll see.
Yes.
I mean, the sheer exercise, the fresh air, the things that you get to mumble jumble in your head, visiting your friends, your nemesis, your experiences, your sex life, whatever. Everything is there and it's brewing and coming out in the surface.
Yes. And
you're sorting it out and you become better persons and then bang, there's an elk. You shot it. You drag it, more exercise. You bring it home, you learn more skills because you have to butcher yourself. Then you have to process it. Then you get to cook it. Then you get to eat it. Now, if you stay with me during this period, perhaps you will understand why.
Yeah, that's why it's the funny. Everybody experiences this, I think, that hunts is like you're enriched by it to a point that you can't explain, but then the world wants you to explain it. They're like, explain that to me. I don't get it.
Yeah, that would take some smarter people than me.
I got nothing. Let me, like, why is breathing air good? I don't know. I'm not sure how to tell you. But there is some points of it. I mean, the other question I always like to ask is why do we care about animals? You know, why do we truly care about the animal? I mean, why do we enjoy, why is killing gratifying? But by that same time, why do we care about the animal? You know?
Well, there are animals that we like to go and kill and harvest. But the animals that we like to keep around the house, like my homing pigeons or my bird dogs.
Yeah.
I believe the animals makes better people. You know, if you have a bird dog or pet or cat or bunny or horse, it's some kind of mental relief because you take care of them.
Yeah.
I love feeding our pigs this time of year. When the water is cold, they cannot drink it. So you have to pour feed over the barley that I soak in overnight. And they just all running there and stick their noses and go, that slobbering and that thing. I just love watching animals to eat.
Yeah.
I love watching sheep grazing and see what they pick, you know, what kind of leaf or so. So I don't know why.
Yeah.
But, you know, so there are these animals that really feed our soul and some are feeding our stomachs.
Yeah. I mean, it's that relationship that's way more meaningful than caring about an animal you've never seen or caring about an animal that you feel some connection to because you saw it on TV or some connection that you saw. I mean, you're seeing every piece of that animal's life, you know, and you're interacting in its birth and its death at some level. Mm-hmm. And when you're a hunter, you're at least along for a good bit of that ride.
Yeah. And I think the way you guys do with Steve, where you promote eating and different recipe and cooking of the animals, I think that's the best ticket.
Yeah.
Because I think we went away from the hunting that you do it yourself and you use all those skills to harvest it, process it, cook it, eat it, we went into some kind of comfort that something is wrapped nicely and has a barcode.
Yes.
It's a lot more acceptable.
Yes.
Like, oh, that's better. Well, how could that be better if that's something that you do it yourself? You either raise it yourself or it's kind of more organically grown, that you somehow have idea how this animal was raised.
Yeah, and I even think that the label of organic is a silly thing, because now they're just telling you something different about you still don't know.
You still don't know. Yeah, that's right.
The trust factor has to be there either way.
So, I mean, I think they've done wonderful marketing to lure us into packaging.
Yes.
That if something packaged nice, it's got to be better than we can do it on our own.
Yes.
And I'm glad some of us are still there who like the old-fashioned way.
I like the messiness of it, I enjoy it not being so clean. I enjoy, I'm still unwrapping a piece of meat that I cut up, but I still know the messiness that got there. Mm-hmm. And I'm not so foolish as to think that it just showed up like that. Yeah. And I know now. And I think a lot of people can get that idea, right? A lot of people can say, how the meat gets to your plate's important, but, you have your kids and you and Lorca, you have the relationship to animals every day.
You bet. Yeah.
With the knowledge that you're going to kill them.
And that is not the science. Billions of people live like me.
Yeah.
Who have animals around their houses. And when it's their time to go, it's their time to go. And they kill it. They save the blood. They put in the blood sausage. Just the whole thing gets used because that's what we need. We need. That's what sustains us.
Yeah.
It takes one thing to sustain another. There is no other way.
Yeah. Life eats life, as they say. That's for sure. Do you feel another thing we talk about all the time is certain animals? I always say, like, we take the gloves off. Like certain animals, like the feral hog, for example. And, I'm sure you've been to Texas and been a part of some of those.
Yeah, it has a bad name for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I would love to have feral hogs in Montana. I mean, I make sausages out of deer or elk, and I like to add a pork, so I have my own pork. But nothing wrong if I could shoot a pig here and just add 50. I would love to.
You know how much fat a pig would have here if it had to live in Montana?
15 years ago, John Hoffner, a friend of mine, took me. He used to work for Realtree. He took me to Texas on deer hunt. And I was sitting in the blind. They put me in the blind by the feeder. And as soon as they set me there, I'd never seen anything like it. I said, I'm going to sit here. I think after 5 minutes, I left. It was strange to me. I like to walk. I'm not a sitting guy. I didn't want to hurt their feelings because they pay a bunch of money for the hunt. But prior to arriving to our camp, we stopped at a barbecue place. It calls Billy's Barbecue. And there was a black guy who was smiling. His white teeth were just shining. And I just instantly drew me to him and says, his menu said, Gutbuster. And he asked me what I'm doing. And I said, I'm from Czechoslovakia. And I like to eat pork. And he goes, oh, so you're going to be hunting hogs? I said, we're hunting deer. I said, well, we have hogs too. So I asked the outfitter, are we hunting hogs too? He said, oh, as many as you want. So Billy, the barbecue guy, goes, well, if you kill the hog tomorrow, since you're leaving in 4 days, and you bring it here, I'll smoke it for you. It'll be the best thing you ever ate. Oof. So when I get to that square box and I'm looking at the feeder and waiting for deer, I'm thinking, no, Billy said that those hogs taste good. So I started walking. And pretty soon, pigs everywhere. So I shot, I think, 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And we drop it off to Billy's. And while I was hiking and hunting those hogs, I actually shot a deer too because he was running there. And so I got the deer and the hogs, and the meat was incredible.
Yeah.
And I know that John said, I think that's what we're going to do from now on. We're going to go day one, we're killing hogs, dropping at Billy's. So we have a food for the clients for the rest of the week.
In the box.
Yeah. So I don't see every animal should be usable. I mean, I don't see the feral hogs. Now, once they get maybe over 300-400 pounds, but there's still, you can do something with it.
Still very usable. I don't agree that people say that they're inedible at some maturity. But
yeah, you can do something with it.
Yeah.
Well, the backstrap and tenderloin's always there, and
you can. Yeah, I mean, sausage. There's so
you
many
bet.
things
You can grind it meat and make out. Yeah, so I think any kind of animals, that we hunting.
I'm sure if you asked Billy, he'd be like, "Just throw me a ham over here.
Yeah.
I'll smoke that sucker for 12 hours. Don't even worry about how big the animal was.
Yeah.
In fact, the bigger the better, I imagine."
Yeah, we had a great time. I mean, I always think about that. And
yeah, what are your favorite places around the world? Because you've traveled. I mean, my gosh, everywhere you can think of.
I don't know if I have any favorite. I used to really like Argentina.
Yeah.
But, now that I brought the Argentina cuisine and culture kind of here in my house, and I'm having here more, so it's not that unique anymore.
Yeah.
But I just love sitting by the fire and talking to people. And part of it might be that, my family I cannot ask my dad certain things for advices, or he never put his hand on my shoulder. I'm proud of you, son.
Yeah.
So I'm seeking that kind of relations with other people. And if you're a plumber, I'm asking you about plumbing. Hey, so you don't use copper pipes anymore? You use PVCs now, or the PEX lines? Or the doctors? I'm asking about the health and what should you do? Or the financial advisors, what should I do? I save $100,000. How should I invest them? So every person has a unique niche. And if they're older than you are, you should shut up and just listen.
Yeah.
Ask the questions and hush, because all these people live lives and they have something that you could benefit. So, and those people are wherever we go.
Yeah.
So you just ask someone. And so I like to say that I'm a very rich man, because I can just close my eyes and go. And all the visits and all the conversations we had with all these people, you cannot buy it.
No, you can. And I always have said and you try to emulate those times. You try to sit in the backyard. I mean, here's different. The backyard's beautiful, but, just in the wilderness with somebody on a 7-day elk hunt, and 4 days in, you killed an elk, you're sitting by the fire telling the story to the rest of the camp. And
yeah. And people open us up.
Yeah.
They do open up and tell you. And maybe they benefit too, because they spoke.
Yeah.
They let it out.
Yeah.
And maybe they're helping someone.
They're passing it on to you.
You bet.
That's
the one thing that I really like about social media. Not that I'm a heavy user, but I like tractors. I grew up logging with them, and I had to have a tractor here, and I finally was able to, a couple years ago, save money and buy one. But if I have a problem, where do I go? To the dealership? Well, I'm going to drop thousands of dollars. Well, why don't I just go to the Facebook page, Kubota Friends? I post the questions, and 10 minutes, 100 fathers and hundreds grandfathers telling you what to do. Now, that's the power of social media, when you get to benefit from someone who already went through that.
Yeah, you're just talking about different levels of human connection, just different ways to connect with people and better yourself. I mean, and if you open yourself up to that, then you'll never lose. I mean, my gosh. Just be open to that. And a lot of people go through their lives and don't talk to their neighbors and get online and hate on people they don't even know. And boy, that's the wrong types of connection.
You wouldn't see very much here in Montana. I think you'll find that people are friendly, and
I've found a lot of friendly folks thus far. But it too, you go to a trade show or you go somewhere in the hunting industry, many people as I do, and when you've been on a hunting adventure with someone, the hug is a little deeper, the handshake's a little harder, the look in the eyes,
and those
a little bit
inside
different.
Jokes.
Yeah, and those inside
somebody
jokes.
was a target of the jokes, and you didn't get mad at them; you just get even with them, and you carried it for.
I always find sadness in that, because I've been doing it for about 10 years, but then you go on a trip with people. You have this connection. A lot of times there'll be a text chain or phone calls. When you see them, you have those inside jokes. And then over years, that stuff fades. If you don't continue to go hunting with those people, over years, that stuff fades away. And you lose that.
But you will think about them.
Yes.
I have to do it. I decided I want to do one day to count how many people I think of. Yes. And maybe mine is wired differently than yours or somebody else. But I go, it's just crazy. Every single thing would remind me of someone.
Yeah.
These headphones we're wearing for the microphone. I'm thinking of the pilots in the Bush Alaskan pilot.
Yes.
How we were flying and how he found out that we carry a bear spray inside on our belt when we took off. How he yelled, how he, and then you go from everything is so connected, and I think that might be the richness of the life where you have so many stories and so many experiences. So count it yourself this week. See how many people you think of.
Yeah.
That you met over the years,
yeah,
and you just some certain things remind you of them, and you carry them forever.
Yeah, influences in your life you don't even realize.
Yeah, and with the photography, I get to look at it because if I have to make a submission somewhere, let's say pilots again or fishermen, you go and you see these faces.
Yeah.
And now with the digital, when we don't do slides anymore, it's just so easy, and I find myself just sidetracked. I was looking for a photo of squirrel. And I am there at these people's faces and thinking of their stories and their food and their fire. And
yeah, there's something about photographers like yourself. I've had a gentleman named Wyman Menzer
from Texas. He was before me, before my generation. He was Stream.
Yeah, I've known him, been friends with him for some years now, and he has a lot of the same sensibilities you do. Like people matter and like relationships matter. Lee Chose is another person that I revere and he thinks the same way. It's just like the way that you see the world allows you to capture those images, and it's not so dissimilar the way that you three guys think about things.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So I'm not the weirdo.
That's good to know. Thank you for that.
I feel better now.
Yes. So yeah, if you can be like those two guys, but yeah, you guys all come from vastly different backgrounds and vastly different ways of seeing the world, but carry some like creative vision for how to capture folks.
Yeah, if you think of the career that somebody will pay you money, you can actually make good living by taking photos.
Yeah.
My kids, I need to take them in a trip with me because they still don't get it. They still don't get it. The daddy comes with a couple of suitcases and leaves and come home and he get money. Their little brain doesn't see it. And, the kids got to, that was the one nice thing the communists did. When you were 12, 13, 14, they would take us to different factories. They would take us to a clothing factory. So the girls or us got to see how things were made.
Yeah.
And by age 14, you have to pick your profession.
O'Reilly Auto Parts are in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offer friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. If you're confused about what part you need, like what wipers are going to be the best, what replacement headlights are going to be the best, go into O'Reilly and talk to the people that work there because they're great and they're super friendly and they'll get you squared away where you walk out knowing you got the right thing. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in-store or online, so you never have to worry if you're in a jam. Do you need your windshield wipers replaced? You need a brake light fixed? You need some quick service? They'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in-store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. You ever get that feeling you're stuck inside staring at screens and a primal urge kicks in? You crave wide open spaces, fresh air, the chance to connect with the land. Well, maybe it's time to find your own piece of the wild, but searching for property can be a maze. That's where Land.com comes in. They got millions of listings across the country, from mountain ranches to hidden fishing holes. Their search tools are like a seasoned guide helping you narrow down what you want. Land.com isn't just about buying and selling. It's about finding a place to hunt, fish, explore, or simply sit by a campfire and listen to the crickets. So head over to Land.com today to turn one day into today, because trust me, there's nothing quite like the feeling of standing on your own piece of earth. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today.
Now think of our college kids. How many of them would know what they want to do, even if after they get their degree?
Yeah, think of our 14-year-olds. Like, hey, you got to pick.
Can you pick a career?
I probably would. What would I have been? Oh my gosh. Circus clown or something?
Well, you have more opportunity here. So that's the thing. We were kind of limited to our skills. If you are no good students, there's no way you're going to go to university.
Yeah.
But you become good carpenter, or you were a lumberjack, or I don't know, driver. So, but to this day, I still love to see how things are made.
Yeah.
And with these Cabela's Bass Pro trips that we do, some of them are experiences where we go to Italy, for example, and we get to see how shotguns are made. Now you see these routers, how you see the steel and comes the barrel, and you see engravers who sits there for months and engraving gun. The guy with the wood, how he polished the wood, how he measured it, how he sandpaper it and finish, or trip to the bow factory, how you have rods of aluminum in the one end, and another end it's a whole compound bow being assembled. So to see those things, I love that.
Yes.
I really enjoy to see how things are made, and
Yeah.
that must be from maybe when we were kids. And
No, it's another good, the appreciation you have for something that you know where it came from. My God. It seems like such a simple concept. Some of these things seem like such a simple concept, but you get lost in them.
yeah.
I get lost. I mean, we just got a brand new house. We got to fill with furniture and hang things, and you're nesting in there, and I got a new job, and I'm trying to build things, and like sometimes things just get lost. You just get lost. You're like, wait, if I just spent the weekend building something.
Well, that's all right. Any improvements in the house, or if you get to build your house from scratch, you kind of appreciate. You're building a house. You're not building real estate where you're going to just stay for 3 years, make $10,000 and get another one. Although folks have tendency in the U.S. to move all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I admire that. I would never. Oh gosh, where would I go? I mean, I would just. I don't know. You guys are really nomads. Just.
Yeah.
The U-Haul trucks would never made any money in Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
Because we were. Except me, I left. But.
I find that's a big in my life. I mean, it's a rabbit hole for sure. But I find like I'm super close to my family, and when you said that 3 generations lived in one house in Czechoslovakia, it made me think, because over the last couple of months, while my house was being built here, my family was living with my parents. And so we were in a house with 3 generations of people, and
there you go.
And the feeling of that, like this, to have my son sit down at the table and play harmonica with my dad every night, like that's pretty unique. And then we're like, all right, we'll see you, and moved to Montana.
Well, we have means to connect here. You have FaceTime, you have airplanes, you can drive, so it's much easier than what we had. We didn't have all that. But I think it's good to be surrounded by family. At the end of, no matter what you do, I think your family is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because why did you get your career? Why did you save all the money? Why did you do this? If you have nobody to pass to, nobody to teach, nobody to take hunting or take fishing.
Yeah.
And see how they, the seeds that you planted, how they grows and bloom. And
I told my dad that I have some people, you meet some people and they just have a tough time with life. Like they just can't quite figure out what they want to do or what they're going to be successful at or how they're going to be happy. I've never had that because I had a family that was kind of like the North Star always. It's like, well,
But I'm sure you have some people that influence your life, either with your
very,
career decisions, because we all have that. And we need to, appreciate those contacts and those influences, like with the photography for me.
Yeah.
I was a logger. I was a lumberjack. I was carrying chainsaw in one hand, oil and gas in another, and going through the snow in the winter, cutting trees. And I love that. But how do you go from there to the art? How all of a sudden you're going to start learning about shapes and circles and shadows and art? I don't have a degree. I didn't go to college. But I met Mike Barlow here, who was a photographer in Bozeman. And one little visit, again, smiles. I smile, he smiles. And these smiles, it's such a connections that I figured out the English and asked him what he does. I was house sitting in Bozeman, and he was looking for a house with his wife.
Yeah.
And I told him, "Oh, don't buy this house. It's $140,000 downtown Bozeman. It's an old house. It has bad foundation."
They'd laugh.
That guy,
now.
gosh, I think I cost him $500,000.
Yeah, he probably. Yeah, he could have sold that house for $2 million now.
But he told me, "Well, come, Mike, travel." His father sent him when he was 18 or 20 around the world, and I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Like purpose of higher education, in my opinion, is to teach tolerance.
Yeah.
Well, if you take that money and send your kids overseas and let them learn about life, tolerance, and everything. So he sent him around, and he liked to talk with people from different countries. And I asked him what he does. He said, "I'm a photographer, and I just got back from Alaska. I'll show you some photos." And I remember today, just like today's light table with 40 slides, beautiful red color of tundra from Denali Park. You see caribou, moose, doe sheep, scenery. And I'm looking at it and just start clicking like, I took some pictures when I was in military. I took pictures when I was in the forestry school. Oh, that's what I want to do. Mike's looking at me and he goes, "Do you have cameras?" Like, "No, but is that important?"
But I want to have a camera.
So but I was 22, and who cares? I mean, I just go with the flow. I just, you sleep here, you eat there, you just explore the world. And as long as you have good intentions and you have a strong willpower and you believe in yourself, things will come.
Yeah.
And, we start traveling together and take photos. And Mark moved one step above me now. He's a sculptor and does beautiful art.
And you're...
And I'm just taking photos. I'm still clicking. I would love to paint. I mean...
maybe eventually you sit here and...
Yeah, but I think art and appreciations for art, and that's what nature has. You walk in the trees and start looking at the branches and leaves.
Yeah.
And deer there or grass and things. How everything is aligned with the light. I mean, and in Montana, whatever you look, there's a photo.
There's
they can work
definitely a photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that places that don't have the dynamics that this does with the mountain ranges, you don't see light the way in other places the way you see it here.
Yeah,
you just don't see it.
I think it's more cleaner air, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Plus the visibility. I mean, you can just see several miles.
Yeah, you see that mountain.
There's bridges or
you can see the bridges from sitting right here. You can see how far away are we from those mountains right now. I mean, you get the perspective of depth and perception. And when the light, I don't just think like at 4:30 here when the light starts bouncing off the bridges, and you're like, that is not that perception, that depth of feeling. Having a mountain right there is just pretty unique.
Yeah,
you don't
it's
get
beautiful.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Now cities have different.
Yeah, I mean, there's
attractions. You have cultures.
Yeah, there's a lot of people
museums.
that need to be in the beehive, right? They need to be where things are happening and be where the noise is.
Well, nice thing for us is that we know what we want. That's accomplishments already. And if we like the country, and then we just go visit cities for here and there.
A nice brandy, nice book, and a fireplace.
Friends. That's what we need more.
Friends.
So be my friend, Ben.
Yeah, I'm going to be your friend.
Okay.
I mean, we're neighbors, river neighbors, and my 2-year-old would have a freaking ball, just playing, feeding the pigs.
And my daughter would love to babysit him.
Oh,
I love seeing her carrying kids around and just showing this future motherly instinct in her. Just beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, my kid. I mean, he's 2, so he has his troubles, but he's a good little human, man. He's a good soul. We were at a restaurant the other day, and there's a little baby. She was maybe 6 months, and she kept dropping. Her mom kept handing her a toy, and she kept dropping it. Her mom would be on her phone and wasn't looking. And my son is 2 years old. He would just walk over on his own, pick the toy up, and give it to the little girl. She would go to playing with it. He'd walk back over to me, and we'd be eating. And he'd look over, and she'd had dropped it again. He'd walk over, get it, give it back to her. And the mom, bless the mom, she never even noticed that he was doing that the entire time. She didn't even notice what her kid was doing. So
she was probably so busy that she didn't notice. And
she didn't notice.
Lots of parents think that, well, I guess not what you give them, but where you take them and how much time you spend with them.
Yeah.
So
it's a huge thing. Here, like you were talking about wanting to be around Montana. That's one of the reasons I moved here, just so I could, I love to hunt. I love to hunt and fish, and there's just a way kids are raised here that is, if my kid ends up being a video gamer, I'll be surprised because he's going to have a lot of opportunity not to do that.
Yeah.
And I certainly won't put it in front of him, but if he ends up being an ice climber, I will not be shocked, just because it's right here. It's right here for him.
This place going to shape him and influence him. So
yeah. We need to also, though, before I forget, talk about homing pigeons. We need to get.
How much time we have now?
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to stop this conversation. But homing pigeons are the coolest thing going. Like, how many pigeons?
It's my church. I walk in there and I am just there. But I'm back in my childhood.
Yeah.
I'm back in my village. So that was our attraction in our village. We either went hunting, fishing, or run around the mountains with our stick in the hands, playing soccer, or raise pigeons.
Yeah.
And I think some of the parents recognize how important it is for kids to have some animals of their choice. Not the one you want to have them, but they. And there was somehow as a kids, we want to possess animals and be in charge. I mean, you maybe have seen little kids having dog in a leash, and they are so proud because they are in charge. So the homing pigeons for us was, we have to take care of them. You get to breed them, you get to put bands on them, but then you get to send them 100 miles away from your home and see if they come home. And if they come home, then you get to compete with other members.
That's so great.
So I grew up with that. And when I moved to Montana, that was the last thing that I would think I would be doing.
It's the last thing I thought I'd run into.
Yeah, it was like homing pigeons in Montana. And we were building a house here. And my wife told me, well, 3 months from now, I would like to take you for lunch. And I said, oh, sure. Fine, honey. So we started building a house, and 3 months came, and she goes, remember when I told you that we're going to have the lunch together? I said, honey, I can't. I have this construction loan. We are plumbers coming, and we have to. But you promised me. I said, okay, angry. My wife took me to a restaurant in Belgrade, and I'm walking in, I open the door, and I see this 60, 70 years old guy sitting there, and I saw pigeons bands in the corner. I was like, no, you guys don't raise pigeons. And the guy said, well, of course we do. We've been racing here for 50 years. There's a guy who was in World War II, and he was he was a pigeoneer.
Wow.
He was basically delivering messages with the pigeons, and he brought the hobby to Montana, established a club. And I said, I couldn't believe it. So the guy goes, well, here's one band for you. Remember, it's all about winning the long-distance race from 500 miles. Rest of the races don't count. I was like, wow, this is awesome. So I went to bank right away and get more lumber because I need to add something that I didn't frame. So while I was building a house, I was building pigeon lawn. And I wake up, I think of pigeons. I go to bed, I think of pigeons. I try to breed the perfect specimen. And I'm having so much fun. The genes are so finicky, and we really don't know anything about it. By interacting with the pigeons, I think it makes me a better photographer because observation is the key. You look at those animals. Are they in the roof? Are they feeling like Elvises? Or they're hunched down and they're not doing well? So, you use that approachment to the wildlife photography, and you get to read deer or elk better and where they're going to go, or, where you can intercept them for the better photos. So those pigeons are awesome. And our little club here in Montana, we race, our longest race is from Reno and Carson City, Nevada.
So how many people in the club?
So we have about 8 people in the club.
Yep.
And we meet here Friday afternoon during the May-June month. And we have this craze where we put our pigeons together.
Yep.
The pigeons have a little electronic chip ring, so we scan them before they go to race. And homing pigeons always just fly back home. So whatever in the first 30 days they were born, they were hatched, they come outside, they kind of GPS the coordinates in their heads.
Like this
and
is
there's like, this is it, okay, right here.
Always come here.
And we don't know anything about it. Why did they do that?
How do they know that?
They try to study. It's a combination of smell, magnet, hearing, and I don't know what else they use. Because they try to...
Yeah, what kind of power?
Yeah, the Cornell University tried to remove... they put like a contact lenses in the pigeons so they cannot see anything. They still find their way home. So there is just so much mystery. But the coolest thing is that it's for me to be outside and send pigeons away 500 miles. And he's been released 6 in the morning, let's say on a Saturday. And I'm thinking about it, man, he flew 4 hours. He flew 8 hours. He flew 12 hours.
So you're just tracking him as he goes?
No, you don't track him.
You don't track him? No?
You just take him. There's no way to track him yet.
Ah.
There is a tracking now where you can download the data once they come home and see where they went, which was kind of new this year that I've done. It's kind of interesting, but no live tracking yet. So you breed these birds who can cover 650 miles in a one day, 12 hours. It's just amazing. 1 pound.
And how do they know? How do you know where they're going to fly?
Well, they always fly back home.
So no matter where they go.
So wherever you release them, you take them to Salt Lake City or Idaho Falls or Billings, they just fly back home. And that's what they were used, through Genghis Khan. He did the messages. Reuters service started with the pigeons. That's how they deliver. World War II, World War I, they were using pigeons for delivering messages. Nowadays, they still use them. The Palestinians use them, to communicate. And drug dealers use them for delivering drugs. They are sitting in a park, they put them in a paper bag. If the good guy comes, they just grab the drugs, sell it. If the cops coming, they just release the pigeon with all the drugs, and pigeons go back home. So they didn't lose anything. So there are so many uses of the animals, but
so the entire club drives to a place.
Just the one person.
One person.
One person takes all the crates.
Okay.
And he would just release them next day in the morning.
So you release him, and then he comes back home, and
he comes back home, and pigeons hopefully go to my place, to people in Billings, people in Belgrade, people in Three Forks, and
you
Sheridan.
Just report whenever they got back, and then
we have electronic clocking now, so you can actually see when the pigeons come.
Wow!
It goes to the smartphone, and you can actually see who got pigeons and what were their speeds. So since everybody has a different distance, we kind of measure the distances, and then we calculate the yard per minute of the speed, since they over-release at the same time.
Wow.
But they call it Pullman racehorses.
Yeah.
So exactly like horses with the breeding supplements.
It seems like a pretty rich and awesome thing to be doing.
Yeah, but with the pigeons, you don't need that much money. Horse is very expensive. But with the birds, you can get grain locally here, and you can build a little loft. And
when they're flying around your house like that, so you said they're exercising?
They're just exercising. They just love to fly, and it's fun to see when the hawk comes or falcon. It's awesome to watch falcon, how he scoops and try to pick one, and usually he doesn't get. These birds are in a shape.
Yeah.
So they have to be either something wrong with them or he really surprise them. But it's something. You probably have a hobby that
I'd like to have this hobby. There they go. Look at them. Here they come. Man, they're beautiful too.
Yeah, but it is just amazing that a little bird can cover 600 miles in a day.
And you say there's 8 or 9 folks in the club. And where are they all from? Different places around?
Different places, and we would have preachers.
Yeah,
we would have police chief of Manhattan was flying birds. Art dealer, carpenters. It's just like it's a cool history.
Yeah, and it's a great history.
And I get to stay in touch with my friends in Europe where I grew up. I get to call them and say, "Hey, what's the latest, or what's going on?"
It's the latest in the pigeoneer world.
Yeah, who do you? And actually, these birds are from where I grew up, because the Montana birds, they were pretty good, but the birds where I grew up were better. And the reason, I think, was because the poorer the country, the better the animals. The selection is tougher. Those people, they don't have extra money to give to their kids, not to take care of their pigeons.
Yes.
So they give them good protein, good food, but any kind of sicknesses, out.
Yep.
So their selection is better.
So we got the pampered pigeons over here. Yeah.
So, and in the U.S., we love to spoil our animals. I mean, dogs are sleeping in their beds. Horses getting more supplements and blankets than our kids do. It is. We cannot even eat horses. There's
a guy at work that had put a jacket on his dog when we were the other day. I'm like, what are you doing there? He's like, well, he gets cold. I'm like, he's a dog.
He can adapt.
He's a dog. Yeah. You didn't understand that used to be a wolf, and we just made it look this way.
Yeah,
it's interesting. But just to be sitting here and seeing those pigeons flying around your house is awesome. So I'm coming up. I'm going to bring my kid, and we're going to
see the birds.
See the birds.
He's going to have a good tour.
We might be in the club for long. You never know. I don't know what kind of hazing there is in the pigeon club, but I'm trying to get.
There isn't. You just get the birds and get a loft, and there is lots to learn. It's a steep learning curve.
Yeah.
But it's not that difficult. Plus, but you need to stay away, once again, the marketing there. They tell you pigeon needs this, and I need return combo for relaxing muscles, and he need better carbs before the race, and etc., and more snake oil stuff than anything. It's just like,
performance enhancing.
Like I said, I don't have a TV, but when I'm in the trips, like the latest trip in Kansas, we look at the TV, there's just the fear and mongering and pill selling.
Yes.
Just lots of pills. And the funny thing is that those pills, you cannot go and buy them. You're going to tell your doctor to prescribe you those pills. And so I'm supposed to watch the commercial, educate my doctor so I can get those pills?
Hey, look, I saw this on TV. Is that right for me?
It's better be good.
Yeah. What do all those pill commercials say? Tell your doctor if this is right for you. Well, let him know. Be like, wait a minute. I thought it was the other way around.
But in the one time, there was 6 or 8 different commercials in the evening.
Yeah.
So when you have a kids, they are indoors and they're just watching TV, it's not going to take very long to just make them think that you cannot exist without pills.
Yes.
They're going to not think that the food is your medicine. This wild deer, wild elk has all the mineral nutritions that you will need. As long as you exercise and you live happy life, you really don't need all these supplements.
Yeah, coming in this house, like sitting in here in this house with you and being here for the asada, you just think like there's some health of mind and spirit here. Like there just is. And some places you go, there just isn't. And I would posit that it's the connection you guys have to.
But it's so simple.
Yeah.
It is nothing that we created or invented. It's just like how common folks live.
Yeah. But that is, really though, but it's not what society's telling folks to do nowadays.
Yeah.
It's not, if you follow the herd, you don't end up here. If you follow the trends, you don't end up here. You have to diverge at some point to end up here. I think that's
you guys just keep spreading message of that, harvesting animal and eating them and different recipes and the enjoyment and benefit you get from being outside, being a hunter, being a fisherman.
And you never mastered it. Is my favorite part about it.
No, you're always going to learn. There's always something new.
You were building this new business with all these people that we're hiring and coming in, and then every day I feel like a bum. I get around these people, and I'm like, I thought I read a lot. I thought I knew a lot about hunting. I thought I knew a lot about cooking up wild game, and then we bring these people in, and I'm like, whoa, all right.
Yeah.
I thought I had this licked, but there's many, many people, especially in this community of people. You walk downtown Bozeman, you're like looking at a guy like, I know that guy hunts. I know he does. He probably knows more than I do.
Yeah.
I need to go talk to him. And so.
Well, we kind of, we talk about it, but if you have a work that's satisfying you, that is fulfilling, and we're spreading good message, and I see with you guys, it had to be satisfying. There is no better than that. I keep thinking of me when somebody asks me, what do you do? I was like, I think I collect smiles.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I truly believe like once you get to that point, if you can, like you have clearly done it, if you can just minimize the distraction from your passion, like if you get in a place where somebody lets you do that for a living, if you can just minimize the distraction and focus on the thing that you've captured, then you're happy, and just get the distractions. If somebody's causing a distraction and taking you away from the thing, you got to get them out of there, and you got to pursue it, because we're pretty lucky folks to get to do what we do, at some level. So if somebody's in there messing that up, they got to go at any level. So thanks for letting me have some brandy. The fire is now out, but you can build a new one.
There's always kindling where you start new fire.
I've been here twice, and we've had a fire and brandy both times. So hopefully that's
it'll be just repeating all the time.
Hopefully
There'll be
that's a trend. I could take that every time.
We eat, sit by the fire, and drink.
I think. And look at the Bridgers
in the afternoons, and we go out and ski. I love skiing around here, cross country ski with the dogs.
Yeah.
Just I guess little exercise outdoors, and then go back inside in the winter. But then we have, I wish we would have 3 Septembers and 3 Octobers. But that could be draining because September comes, gosh, with all the hunting that we do and go on the trips.
Well, that's what the problem is. I got a lot of family members. We'll come visit you, and don't worry, we'll come in the summertime. I'll come. I'm like, listen, don't come then, because I don't want to have to parade you around and show you the tourist spots. I want to be doing what I'm going to do. Come in the winter.
Yeah.
We'll sit around and watch it snow.
Yeah. No, you'll have fun. I think they'll be rewarding for you and for your kid growing up here and be a Montanan.
Yeah, Montanan. You're a Montanan?
Well, I have an Instagram, Dusan Smetana. My kids have middle name Montana, both of them.
Oh, they do, both of them?
Yeah.
So you're a Montanan.
Well,
can't get away from it.
Yeah, I don't know. My kids are, but...
yeah, where can people see all your photography if they want to check it out?
Well, just at dusansmetana.com, on the website.
You guys sell prints or anything there? I'm going to have to bother you to...
Not really. There are maybe just few, probably 5-10 prints a year. I really don't target that because the prints are so personal. I really don't know what people like. And I like, you look at my prints here, they all have horses or cattle.
Yeah.
So I can tell you I am an agricultural guy.
They're beautiful.
But I like big scenery with little people. I mean, I know one of the editor once told me that I can just see your photos when it's a huge scenery and a little fisherman or a little hunter, that's got to be your photo. And I kind of like that. And he said, well, I asked him, well, why do you like that? He goes, well, besides seeing beautiful scenery, I think what it does, people to imagine themselves that they are them.
Yes.
They want to go and experience that little stinky guy right there in the middle and be...
But it shows you how small you are.
Yeah. That puts you in perspective how big those places are. So...
Yeah. There's some awesome stuff here. Is that those gauchos?
Yeah. I mean, I would love to do a book one day on hunting guides.
Yes.
Just
got the best stories you ever who has the best stories? Hunting guides.
Oh my goodness. They are making lots of hunters successful.
Yeah.
If you think of it, we are lucky here. We have national forests, so I can just go and use my skills to get an elk or deer. But most people hunt with guides, and they're only as good as their guides.
Yeah.
And those guides, it's their skill to help you harvest the animal. And sadly, I mean, I don't see too many guides in the magazines. I don't see any guides book ever. I mean, I don't know, maybe you've seen it. And some of the guides in some countries, they're not even invited to sit with you at the table. So we still have some PR to do.
You see that a lot. There's a guides table in a class. It's like, I'd like to, the reason I'm here is for you to guide me, man. I want to learn from you.
Yeah.
I wanted the reason I need you is because I don't know this country in this way. And I'd like to.
And the camaraderie you have and just his. And you look at them, what the guides usually wear. I mean, some of them don't even have the brand new boots or the best clothes, but they can get it done.
Yeah. And they are, and you can't get it, and you can't get it done without them. A lot of times. Oh, thanks, Dusan. I really appreciate you having me over. Appreciate it.
So we'll see you around.
Oh, we'll keep the brandy flowing. That's it. That's all. Episode number 40 in the books. Thank you to Dusan Smetana. Really appreciate you for having me in your home, for sharing your brandy, for sharing your mint tea, and allowing us to talk about your life. It was enlightening, and I very much appreciate it. It was an awesome story. Episode number 40 is going to be a good one. If you liked episode 39, we got Randy Newberg coming in the house. He's going to talk about hunting ethics with us and answer some of your questions. So if you have questions and you're listening to this now, send them in really quick because you got a couple of days before Randy comes in to sit with us and talk hunting ethics. What else? Hey, man, there's always a lot of stuff happening at the Meat Eater Incorporated. You go to the Meat Eater store, man, you got all kinds of stuff there. Right now, it's almost Christmas. And if you go there, you might find a shirt with a gnome. It's an illustration of a gnome packing out a unicorn. From the mind of one Stephen Ranella. You're going to want to give this to every boy and girl and man and woman in your life because it's badass. There's also stuff for the Hunting Collective there. So click over there. You might find a Yeti tumbler with our logo on it that you can purchase. It would be awesome if you did. And when you're done with that, I know you got a lot more time and money, go up to the newsletter subscribe button. You click that, and you'll be good. You put your little email in there, and then updates from our website come every Wednesday into your inbox. It's unbelievable, I know. And then when you're done with that, if you still got extra time, then you go on Amazon or wherever you buy a book, and you buy or order the Meat Eater Fishing Game Cookbook. You do that. You need to do that. It's out of stock right now, but it'll come eventually. It'll come like in January. And it'll be a great surprise whenever it does show up. So that's really it. If you do all those things, we'll love you. Love you forever, and we'll keep pumping out these podcasts free of charge for you. So until next time, thanks for joining us. Thank you to Dusan Smetana. Thank you to you all for listening. Bye.
You ever get that feeling the walls closing in, the concrete jungle suffocating you? You crave some wide open spaces, the chance to connect with nature, maybe in a spot all your own. Well, head over to land.com. They've got ranches, forests, mountains, streams, you name it. Search by acreage. You can search by location. You can search by the kind of hunting and fishing you're dreaming of. Land.com. It is where the adventure begins. After 3 years of work, our follow-up to the Meat Eater Fishing Game Cookbook is here. It's the Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, campfire, and camp stove. Here is your book for everything that's best cooked or eaten outside. From grilling to open fire cooking to Dutch ovens to smokers to barbecue to backpacking meals to how to pull off the perfect fish fry, with pit stops along the way for lessons about Ice Age cooking methods and the best 5 ways to construct a cooking fire you can be proud of. And of course, we're focusing on wild game and fish here with over 100 recipes, including stuffed venison burgers 3 ways, wild duck with ahi verde sauce, a jerky made with cola, a gin and tonic made with fire-charred lemons, and grilled frog legs made with a sticky sweet sauce. This ain't your normal cookbook, so be prepared to be surprised. Get your copy now. For more info, visit themeateater.com or buy it wherever books are sold.